Hello and welcome to the tennis once again. Today on the show, Jakub Mensik outs his childhood hero Novak Djokovic. World number 12, Daria Kasatkina records her first win representing Australia. And clay season kicks off. Nick McCarvel joins us direct from Charleston. All that and more, I'm Xavier Muhlebach, your host for the week, joined once again by Brie Stewart. Loves a bit of the social media. How you doing, Brie?
I'm good, thank you. Good to be here.
Always. And across the desk, couple of birthday people. Winner of the inaugural Xavier's Nicest Person in Tennis Award, Sam Stosur.
Oh, thank you.
And runner-up, Todd Woodbridge.
I was going to say.
But I do believe we have birthday celebrations.
God, you're kidding.
Where's my hat? I forgot my hat.
Oh, my goodness
under
me.
your seat. Oh,
thank
lovely.
you.
It's
Oh,
under your seat.
Oh, I kicked over there.
Here we go.
Didn't even have. Forgot my own cake.
That's all good. Here we are.
Like it was his own direction.
I was too excited. I was on a sugar rush and I hadn't even eaten it
love
yet.
it.
Can we?
Happy birthday.
Wait, is copyright still a thing? Let's not risk it. Yeah, so really excited. This is going to hurt. Oh.
Your head is so big.
Well, I wasn't expecting this.
I was not expecting that. I did see the hats, but nothing
You're
twigged
like,
at all.
Must be a prop. So how were your birthday weeks?
It was actually great.
yeah.
It was going to be my ace of the week.
I just can't believe how old I'm getting.
Neither can we.
I just look at it and go, what?
You're still up and about.
Oh, yeah, trying.
I don't think you're old.
No.
No.
He's married.
It just, geez, it flies around quick.
Yeah.
What number did you hit?
54.
Wow.
Really? Okay. No, you are looking pretty good then.
Yeah, thanks. But anyway, it's nice to have one with my, birthday so close with my
Yes.
former mixed doubles partner here.
Surely this is an annual celebration, get together, the two of you.
Yeah, we'll make it that from now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Now that we get cake and hats, for sure.
Now, if you could give each other one birthday wish, what would it be? Sam, you go first. What would you wish for Todd?
Oh, more holidays?
Yep, that's fair. I think
Yeah,
Todd
that's
would
a good
greatly
one.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That would be nice. What would I wish for Sam?
Yeah. BJK
Oh,
finals.
yeah, BJK Cup victory. In a couple of weeks. What would I wish for you, Sam?
I'd be happy with more holidays too. That'd be fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us for another week of the tennis. Lot to discuss. I'm going to take my
week.
hat off because it's
Yeah.
cutting into my third
right.
chin.
Yeah.
I'm going to prop it here.
Yeah, here we go. Next to the cake. All right, well, let's jump straight in. What's caught your eye? Now, a big one for me, Australian Open, Australian tennis. We're in Australia. This is the AO Originals Tennis Podcast. We've got a new Aussie, in a way. I noticed at Charleston there's a new Australian flag at the WTA event. Daria Kasatkina, now permanent resident of Australia. How did this happen? What have we got? Do we have a new Aussie or is that still in the mix?
Sam, you've got a pretty good understanding of how it's all coming together.
Yeah, well, so she is a permanent resident now in Australia, and I have to say I'm very happy for her that she can call Australia home now and feel like this is going to be her, new home and new country to represent. So I'm really pleased for her, super happy that she's been able to come to that decision. But yeah, she is only a permanent resident at the moment. So WTA have approved her to play under the Aussie flag, which is really great. But there's obviously still a few things that need to time pass and things to be done for her to be a citizen, get a passport and, eventually be able to play on the BJK Cup team.
Yeah, because there's very different rules and requirements at WTA events, ITF.
Yeah.
So, there's still a bit of a journey to go, but she's happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a big statement for her to be able to make at the beginning of Charleston to say, from here I'm playing under the flag. And you could actually see during the tournament when it went up that it was quite emotional for her. There's a lot for her to have to digest.
Yep.
And we know that she's a very well-loved player on tour and very likeable. And, I mean, I think it's going to be great for our Aussie women to have this opportunity to have somebody of that level in the team once you can get into the BJ Cup team, and also for our younger girls to be able to be around, because she's going to be here in Melbourne. That's going to be a base now.
Yep.
So when she does get back off tour, those lead-ins to the Australian summer, it's going to be something they can all utilise and use to their advantage. So that's a real plus.
And I know our very own as well, Daria Saville, she's been giving her advice on where to look to live in Melbourne as well, right?
Dasha, the
they're
real
really
estate agent.
next door to where she is. I would
They
suspect.
could share a
They're really
court.
good friends, aren't they? Like Dasha double,
They're like
Dasha
best friends.
squared.
So yeah, they've been very, very good friends. I'm assuming for their whole life. So
Yeah.
you know, they've played doubles together in the past. They hang out all the time. But yeah, like Daria Kasatkina is definitely one of the, you know, most like players on tour. I think she's always been very friendly, always had really great dealings with her, myself when I was still playing and so forth. So look, I think as Todd was saying, she's a great person and asset player, however you want to put it, to come here and now really set a new benchmark for our players to strive to.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 dashes. How are we going to get over this just horribly hard hurdle of 2 people with the same name?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Who wins? One's Daria, one's Dasha?
To be typically Aussie, we have to come up with a nickname. Perhaps that we'll put that to all of our listeners and our
It's
viewers.
Dasher and Dashy.
Yeah,
you know?
I like that.
They sound
Dashy
like
and Dasha.
Rudolph or like reindeers,
my name went
Santa's
to
reindeers.
Daria, Savil's dog, Tofu, Dashi, Agadashi, Tofu. A lot of mental gymnastics just happened there.
Agadashi tofu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
There's a lot happening there. Next up on the list of things that caught our eye.
Dear.
But no, it's great for women's tennis, great for
It
tennis in
is.
general, great for Aussie tennis.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to
Welcome.
look at. I mean, Olympics is big on our radar, I think,
Huge.
in Australia, but also in tennis. But a lot of people say, oh, why does tennis need, Olympics need tennis, vice versa? Well, it does, and our greatest champions have played. But we also, having won a medal with our men's doubles team in Paris, we're only getting towards 3 years away from LA and, of course, then Brisbane. So, we've got a contender for those next games. By the time all of those things
definitely.
come through and the processes get through and a passport gets there, that'll be interesting to watch.
I'm still stuck on the fact that there's people out there who don't believe tennis belongs in the Olympics.
Oh, many, particularly people that don't play
bizarre.
tennis because they don't like us being there because
I saw Serena Williams play at our 2000 Olympics in Sydney,
Huge.
in Australia. One of my fondest memories. And yes, I come from a tennis family who love to play tennis, but tennis is such a good sport.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it's an
feel really
athlete-
irritated when people say that.
It's athlete versus athlete. If anything, get rid of dressage. The horse is doing all the work. Controversial.
Very much so. Never thought that would
I
pop
do
up on
like
the pod.
watching dressage, though. My dog likes to
dancing.
watch dressage.
Yeah, well, your dog kind of looks like a dressage horse.
She
Cock
does.
spaniel with long black hair. Anyway, welcome to Australia, Dasha. Todd, take us back to Miami.
Yeah, well, Miami, an excellent tournament. Always is. It's kind of a tournament for me that sets up the middle part of the year.
Okay.
We start to see who's in form. You go back a few years when Ash Barty all of a sudden won Miami, and that was sort of like this great big soaring moment in her career. And for me, Jakub Mensik, it's the same type of scenario. He comes through the tournament as a 19-year-old, handles it all with this serious aplomb, and there might be a reason for that, and I'll get to that in a moment, why he was kind of relaxed through it. But what we saw was a game that is advancing quickly. Great forehand, super mover, backhand that is solid as a rock, and no fear. And it's quite interesting that you can go into a Miami final against Novak Djokovic and have no fear.
Well, you'd have to really swallow that fear to face down Novak.
And I thought, watching the opening walk-on and games of that final, a 5-hour rain delay, so much time to burn nervous energy sitting around the locker room. When are we going to get on? How's it going to go? He was fine. He came out of the block so well. And so I was mightily impressed, and I think we can add another player to the next that is potentially there to win a major. So all of a sudden, we now have Alcaraz, Sinner, you've got Fonseca, and now you throw in Mensik into this, and boy, men's tennis has become incredibly dynamic and interesting.
That's great. He almost didn't play, is that correct? Like he was...
Yeah, so it's a great little story about that. Don't want to hear about it from me.
Yeah, let's have a
hear it
listen.
from the man himself.
Big special thanks to one of the ADP physios, Alejandro, because I have to tell you one story. 1 hour before my first match in here, I was holding the paper of pulling out from the tournament because my knee was hurting a lot. I was just lucky then the referee was having lunch. So then for the last time I came for the treatment. He did a miracle, and because of him I step on the court, and because of him I'm standing here. So thank you, big special thanks for him, and thank you guys for everything. Thanks.
Wow, what a twist.
Yeah, how incredible. I mean, Sam, I'm going to go to you on this because you know that as a player, you never really play feeling fully fit. There's always a niggle. There's always something that you're managing. And sometimes when you have something like that, it takes the pressure off the expectation and you just go out and play freely. And that's kind of how it looked for him.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. That is so the case. Even when there's a mid-match court call, you see matches a lot of them ever so slightly turn because then there is no expectation. There's no thought about really what they're doing as far as tennis goes. It might be about protecting themselves physically and they just play better. Gets in the mind of the opponent as well. So I think also, given he was playing Jack Draper, who came off the Indian Wells win, probably like, well, you know, not a big deal if I lose, who cares type thing. Goes out and wins that. Everyone thinks Jack Draper's had a terrible tournament, but he loses to the eventual champion too. So, yeah, look, very, very few moments I could say I walked on court feeling absolutely 100% nothing wrong with me.
Yeah. And I think it goes down to some players looking for at times an easy way out of like not putting themselves on the line. We see that a lot. I mean,
having something to point to.
Jimmy Connors has the best line ever. He says, if you walk on the court, you finish the match.
Okay.
And so many players walk on the scoreline, you know, they're down 4-1 in the second, lost the first, and they shake hands. That's not going to make you a great player. That's just going to make you a run-of-the-mill player. Yeah. And so it's a fascinating insight into psychology of what expectations and how players deal with pressure, and also understanding that you may have a niggle, but it's not an injury.
Yep.
It's just soreness. It's not something that's going to hold you back. And sometimes you can play through that. And this was a case of him learning how much you can actually play through with the right treatment and the right mentality. So a huge lesson for a 19-year-old that I'm sure is going to change. It's going to change the way he looks at himself to be able to make something of himself on the tour. So sliding doors moment for Jakub Mensik.
Is Mensik one that you've both been watching and thinking, you're interesting, you're going to be something?
It's been pretty quick. I think if you look at men's tennis in the last 12 months, Fonseca talking about him before he sort of went boom, but he was there. Mensik's jumped in rather quickly.
Yeah.
Rather quickly.
Feels
but
like that.
I think it just shows that the generations that sit underneath have been watching the greatest.
Bubbling.
They've been watching some of the greatest tennis that you could possibly play. And they've actually risen very quickly to those levels. They've been dragged along by the levels, and I'm surprised they're playing at the level so quickly in their careers because the physicality of the game has moved on to huge degrees, and so to see them play it, I think is astonishing because I was expecting that we would be having this level of play when they are 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
Not when
19.
we've got 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds doing it. And that's what we've seen. So all in all, though, geez, great viewing.
Well, from a new name to an established name, Sam, what's caught your eye this week?
Yeah, Aryna Sabalenka back holding the winner's trophy again. So obviously she won in Brisbane first week of the year and then kind of obviously final AO, final Indian Wells, bit of a lean patch through Dubai in the Middle East. But yeah, comes out and wins four of those matches against top 20 players again, absolutely dominated the draw with every match being straight sets and says, hey, I'm still number one.
Yeah, well, she is just an absolute rock star on grass and hard court. When are we going to see her begin to dominate, if she can, on the clay?
Well, I mean, look, I don't see any reason why she can't do well or win titles or, potentially win the French, obviously.
She's had the French in the palm of her hand, I've got to say.
It wasn't due to her not being able to play on clay that she lost that match. So I think a lot of it on the clay court comes down to her own self-belief in that moment, potentially. But since that particular match at the French Open, she's now gone on to win more Grand Slams. She's been, dominant world number one. So all of these things are going to help her go through and potentially do that obviously we have Iga, who is the clay court favourite, no matter what, probably, to get through. But
I reckon,
no, she's going to believe that she can win a clay court title
She
and a
does
big
have
one. And whether
confidence.
that's, you know, a Madrid or Rome or French or wherever, she is absolutely capable of doing it.
I think Aryna Sabalenka is one of the best bounce back, resilient champions that our game has had.
Yep.
Because there have been players that have been in situations like her in major tournaments that have had meltdowns that have never come back.
Wow.
They've never gone to the levels again that they were at that point. Aryna, on every occasion where she's had something go against her, whether it be a bit self-inflicted, has come back better from it. We've seen it from Paris. So
so
no
true.
surprise to me that she could go on and win at Roland Garros this year. She's had what happened at this year's Australian Open where, you know, she was expected to win. And you could see the devastation at the end of the match.
Yeah.
But even then, she was devastated, smashed the racket, but
Yeah.
then flicked the switch.
Oh.
She was thrilled for
It's
her
like
colleague,
night and day. It was
Maddie.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And-
she
and
can
so-
bounce back in like 30 seconds. Imagine over a tournament.
And let's go back a couple of years here in Oz where she couldn't get a serve in the court.
Yep.
I remember that.
Man, like that was the end of Anna Kournikova. Her career never could come back when
Yep.
she got the yips like that. So Aryna Sabalenka is, for me, one of the resilient champions that is, she's not done yet, and there's many more tournament wins to come.
So more dance videos for you and your team to cut, Brie.
Great. I love doing the Sabalenka TikTok dances.
Well, Brie, over to you. What's caught your eye for the week?
Well, you know, animals.
No, that's why I asked.
Well, Danielle Collins made it to round 4, going down to actually Sabalenka. And on her way home from Hard Rock, I meant to say Hard Rock Cafe, but Hard Rock Arena, she came across an injured dog that had been hit by a car.
Oh.
She rescued the dog. She took the dog to the hospital or the veterinary hospital. It received emergency surgery and 5 days of oxygen. And she has now adopted the dog and called it Crash.
Crash.
Crash is a Labradoodle, and I just think that's such a beautiful story. And I love animals.
Yeah.
Danielle Collins.
I love Danielle Collins.
loves-
She's cool.
She's
and
just
nice.
sassy.
I'd love 5 days of oxygen.
Wouldn't we all? But yeah, I just thought that was a really beautiful story. And, you know, I think Crash is now watching on at Charleston.
Yeah.
Great. We'll get Crash on a plane in January. We can meet the pup.
I would
Yeah.
love to see him.
You might have
We'll
to
go
come out
interview
in,
him
like,
in
June or
quarantine.
July.
Yeah, exactly.
3 months quarantine.
Yeah, we don't want a Johnny Depp situation to
For
happen
any of our
again.
global listeners, Australia has a very strict animal
Quarantine.
Yeah.
quarantine.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to protect our biodiversity here.
We do, and agriculture.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was what's caught our eye for the week. Coming up next, we're going to jump over to Charleston in a way with Nick McCarvel. Stay tuned for the tennis. Welcome back. Well, we are joined from Charleston, kicking off the clay season with Nick McCarvel. Hello, Nick.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Look, all the better for hearing your voice in my ears. How's the weather over there?
Oh, man, it is muggy. I think Sam will be familiar with the no-see-ums. They are the tiny mosquitoes that love anyone who's not from Charleston. They will eat you alive. So, Zave, there's been a lot of bug spray, but other than that, it has been a beautiful few days here in
Well,
Daniel
Sam, you
Island.
love Charleston.
I absolutely do. It's always one of my favorite tournaments on the calendar, but not only for the tournament, but also for where I could go and eat my dinners every night. So Nick, have you been to Fig yet? Because that is my all-time favorite restaurant.
Oh, yeah, Sam, they were actually asking about you at Fig the other night. No, you're so right. It really is this place where all the players love coming here. It's like a mid-sized southern city in the U.S. It's got a lot of that hospitality and charm. Hall's Chop House, Fig, all of these restaurants. I think Moran, the tournament director, makes sort of blanket reservations for all the players downtown. Sam, you would know better than me about that. But yeah, the culinary experience is second to none.
Let's go from culinary to court, Nick.
Yeah, the clay's looking a
Hey?
bit mouldy. What's going on?
Yeah, so Zave doesn't understand that there is a
I am
surface called
aware.
green clay in the United States. In fact, I think it was my least favourite surface of all. I mean, clay was a struggle for me, but green clay, everyone said, oh, it should suit you, it's quicker, bounces higher and all of that, but it's a lot different to red. Why hasn't Charleston had a look at actually transforming into a red clay surface? They could do that, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they have, Todd, actually, and you and Sam would know this pretty well. I think the players really actually like the transition between the Indian Wells and Miami hard court conditions, and then you kind of get this like next step towards the clay season. So like you say, it's not quite the slippery red European clay. It's got a little bit more bounce to it, and you can slide on it somewhat, but I think it provides a lot of the players, especially the Americans, we've got 19 of them in the draw this week, that little bit of intermediary from the hard courts to the true European clay.
I'm very well done. I think you've nailed that response, Nick.
I thought your problem, Todd, was more laundry related. It was harder to get out of your white shorts and things like that.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Red socks are harder to clean than the green ones, by the way.
Fair call. Noted.
Yeah, I thought it would be because it's darker. That was a silly
Do
question.
you really think Todd's ever done laundry in his life?
Mate,
Not recently, no.
I actually
No.
used to sew pleats into my shorts to make sure they fit. I sewed all badges onto my sleeves.
But not for a while.
Well, I haven't played for a while.
But Todd, what events were on? Todd, what events were on green clay that you would have played in? Because now Charleston is the only, at least at tour level, the only on green clay. So where did you play on green clay?
Yeah, obviously it was around a similar time of the season where the US clay court used to be played in various places. We played in Pinehurst, North Carolina on the green clay. We played down in Orlando on green clay at Disney World. And so there were variations of what we did with that. And I actually won a clay court tournament, believe it or not.
Here we go.
Somehow it was a very poor draw. When Greg Ruzetsky and I could make the final of a clay court tournament, things are troublesome. But we were in Coral Spring, which was on red clay, and that's why I asked that question, because there are obviously places. Houston is currently underway on the men's tour this week, and that obviously is red clay too. That's one of the rare clubs in the States that has it. But yes, we did have to do that. But I always found that transition sort of difficult. I played better on red than I did on green, which is weird. And I didn't play very well on either of them.
But you gave it a go. So, Nick, who's making headlines early on over there in Charleston?
Well, it's been a big welcome home for Madison Keys. I mean, no surprise, you guys, the Australian Open champion. She's sort of it's been cool to watch. She's been having this victory tour in the states of Indian Wells, Miami, and now Charleston. She and Jessica Pegula are the top seeds. It feels like they're the two favorites coming in. But then you've got players like Ostapenko. You've got Emma Navarro, who is sort of the hometown hope. A lot of people, for years, it was Shelby Rogers. She was trying to punch up into that top level. But now Emma Navarro is an established Grand Slam semifinalist, someone who's been in the top 10. I have to tell you guys, there's a lot of Southern ladies following the tennis in Charleston, as I think, again, as Sam well knows. And they all want to get a look at Emma Navarro. I'm not going to try my best Southern accent, but they all want to see their homegirl,
Give
Emma.
us a little ado declare.
And I will say, no, I'm not even
Not leaving that one?
Thanks.
Gotcha.
But I will say, Daria Kasatkina was on the court for the first time today with an Australian flag next to her name, and it was actually pretty emotional. She said a couple times she just couldn't stop looking at that Australian flag next to her name, which I think is really cool. And Dasha is actually a really home favorite here. She won this tournament in 2017. People really got to know the Dasha that we know in tennis. And it was a cool moment to see her experience that moment with the Australian flag in front of a Charleston crowd that knows her so well.
Well, we do have quite a few Aussies over there anyway, don't we? We've got Isla over there, as well as Olivia Gadecki.
Which Isla?
Tom Lanovich.
Oh, good one.
Oh, she got it.
Woo! Do we have much Aussie kind of fans over there pushing
Great
the
question.
team along?
Ooh, I haven't seen any Australian fans just yet. I'm sure
That's a
they're
shame.
around. Last year they had 49 fans from 49 states out of the 50. They had fans from 7 different countries. So I'm guessing Australia would be represented. We actually had Isla on my court yesterday, the Althea Gibson Club Court.
Love.
And Cruz, her dog, was here. And you guys, he was watching the match courtside, watching mom play. So
He was probably
I guess,
watching the ball,
Brie,
but
there's
yes, agreed.
one.
Love that.
Yes. Well, watching mom too. Brie, there's at least one Australian fan, Cruz, Isla's dog.
Yeah. Well, hang on. How are the dogs there? Because I also, in my what caught my eye, I spoke about Danielle Collins' new dog Crash, and I saw
Crash.
he was in the stadium as well. How are the dogs in Charleston, and how do we get them at our events in Australia?
Okay, so we want to
Honestly, great question. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Okay, great. Could you look into that?
Callan
for me,
Sky has got
please?
her dog here too. Yeah, totally.
Oh my
I'll get back to
God.
you. I'll be your reporter. Reporter. That works.
Yeah, reporter.
Come on.
Okay, was about
I
to
got
say
it.
we're really looking forward to having you back in Melbourne for AO26, but after this, we'll have a chat offline.
Oh, is that on me or is that on you guys?
No, we'll just blame Brie.
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, Nick, anything to add as you head back out there to court announce for Charleston?
Oh, I mean, it's the best. I love this gig. Sam knows Althea Gibson Club Court well. I'm sitting in the sort of like clubhouse that just overlooks the court. And it really is sort of that. I think of tournaments like Brisbane, that event, and people come out and support it so well. It's got a family feel. The food, like Sam says, is just amazing. And this is a great atmosphere. This has been the WTA 500 tournament of the year the last 3 years. And the Southern hospitality is high. And it's just a great event, I think, especially for the Americans. Like you Australians know it really well. The Americans, they have to leave now for months before they get to come back for the U.S. swing.
Poor devils.
So I think it's a nice send-off for those American team, too.
Oh, I feel for them having to leave for 8 weeks.
If that,
Yeah.
on a 6-hour flight.
Goodness me.
Todd's been home for about 5 minutes in the last 24 months. So, yeah.
Hey, before we do let you go, the Althea Gibson court that you're talking about, how fabulous is it? We don't talk about Althea Gibson very often in the world of tennis. The first African-American champion that dominated at Wimbledon, the US Open, was also a professional golfer. She had so many things covered. And in the sport of tennis, I didn't know we had a court named after her there in Charleston, and good on them for actually showcasing one of the greats of our game. And I'm sure you'd agree with that, Nick.
Oh, hugely so. I mean, Althea Gibson was the original Black pioneer in women's tennis, and every year they bring back her legacy. They talk about charities that do work in sort of her name and her spirit. And don't you worry, Todd, I'm saying Althea Gibson Club Court as many times as I can.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's fantastic.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us over there. Stay warm, stay cool, whatever you need to do. Get some barbecue.
Thanks, guys.
And have fun out there.
Cheers for it. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Stay
you,
away
Nick.
from
Bye,
those
Nick.
no CMs, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying.
All right, we are back for more of the tennis. Now, Sammy, about to pop up to Brisbane. What are you doing up there?
BJK
that's right.
Cup tie. Yeah, we
Yes.
play Kazakhstan and Colombia. So going to be a tough week ahead, but
Yeah.
really looking forward to it.
Expectations, I mean, if Kazakhstan send their full lineup, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything points to that they will have Rybakina and Putintseva at least probably playing the singles matches. So, yeah, they're obviously probably the team to beat given rankings on paper and everything. So, not going to be easy, but we do have the home crowd support, home court. We love playing in Brisbane. We've played there many, many times. It's a home court for Kim Birrell and now my join as well. So, we've got some things in our favour and we believe we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Aussies love tennis, but Queensland is bloody
We love
tennis.
tennis.
They do. They do. Interesting one. The last time the Aussie BJK Cup team played Colombia was when you, Sam, made your debut as a player. What do you remember about making your debut and playing against Colombia?
I just read that. Brought
Yeah,
back
I
some
know.
memories. It was in,
Isn't that a great fact?
yeah, it was in
Go
Wollongong.
the team.
In Wollongong. And
Gong.
I was probably a little bit surprised to get the gig to actually play. And I lost 6-4 in the third to Fabiola Zuluaga, but put in a really good performance and did what I could. I lost, but it was an unbelievable experience.
What year was
Loved
that?
it. It was like 2003.
I feel like that's what the guys said this morning.
Nearly
yeah.
last century.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what did it feel like for you donning the green and gold for BJK Cup for the first time? It would have been
Cup.
Fed Cup
Fed Cup,
back
yeah, yeah.
then. What did it feel like?
It felt oversized because it was a very big
And a bit itchy.
unisex jacket.
Oh God! Oh dear!
But no, very, very special. And, I, if I remember correctly, I think the team was Alicia, Pratty and Stubbsy. So all of a
fun.
sudden I'm then put into this team of, Australia's best players and people that I looked up to playing, and just thought practicing with them occasionally was, oh my gosh, I'm practicing with Alicia here and, that sort of thing.
Then you're
and
on the
I
team.
was actually on the team and actually got to play the match or one of the matches. So, it was incredibly special. And like I said, I still remember it. I know who I played, the score, and, it was a long time ago. But, I think every time you get to put on the green and gold, you really cherish it.
What a
who did you-
pinch me moment, though,
Yeah.
that now you're the captain about to play the same country.
Yeah.
I thought you meant
that
because now
were.
you're on the tennis.
No. But your
captaining,
first match
whatever. Yep.
as a player against Colombia, and now
Full
as a
circle.
coach.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to close it out though. We want to win.
Well, exactly. I got to
Yeah.
turn the tables now
Yeah.
on my
Yes.
own personal result.
No pressure.
Turn the
So who
tables.
did you lose to?
Fabiola Zuluaga.
Where's
she
she
was
now?
like top 20. I actually saw her at the Olympics. She was there with the Colombians.
What was the ticket?
Part of the coaching staff. I actually don't know if she's part of the BJK coaching staff,
Probably not.
but that was the last time. Well, last time I saw her, which wasn't that long ago, but considering it's probably 20 years in between.
But still hanging on to that little hatchet. Okay, interesting.
I've got more of a serious question.
Oh, right, sorry. Todd has a serious question.
No,
Sam.
but jumping into the captaincy
Yeah.
is a lot of stress and pressures, because you've got to manage more than just one player. You've got the coaching, you've got the setup, you've got
Strategy.
Yeah. So how are you handling that?
Yeah, well, it's not easy. Even last night I wasn't sleeping so well. I was thinking, okay, practice and these hours and then that, and how you divvy up the court times and all these things. So there's
And selections.
and obviously that is the main one that you do sometimes lose sleep over, of who to put on the court for what day and against, matchups against opponents potentially, but then rankings come into play with who's allowed to play who and all these sorts of things.
And how are you with
It's,
delivering the hard discussion?
It's not easy. It is tough, but I hope
Just get
all
Patty
the
to do
players.
it.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah, she'd
palm it
love
off.
it.
Yeah.
She'd be like, oi, you're off. And then away you go.
I do think the good thing is all our players do genuinely support each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
So
they don't
team
get
before
called
ego.
up for that, they know it's not a personal decision. There might
strategic.
whatever comes into play, and every single time, at least in my experience, they've been on the sidelines cheering for their teammates. So
Great.
it's not easy. I know what it's like to be playing and also not playing. It sucks when you're not playing, but that's part of being in a team.
It's when Preddy walks in with the ball basket going, we've got more work to do. Jim, back out on court. You know you didn't get picked.
Yeah. It's the Pratty
It's all
way.
Pratty's fault.
Yeah. You got to have a scapegoat. You got an orange girl, you got a scapegoat, you got a captain, you got all these roles that are very important to the BJK Cup. All right. Well, pretty exciting. Brie, you got anything else?
I've got one question.
Shoot.
Isla's won a couple of matches in Charleston.
Isla who?
Does that make Tomljanovic?
Well done.
Is that making selection harder, do you think?
Well, it's always hard no matter what.
Yeah.
But now she's obviously won 2 matches there, which is great. She's going to be feeling more confident. Yes, now she's going to be coming into Brisbane later than the rest of the team.
Yes.
But I think if you're coming in, having won matches and feeling good about your tennis and yourself, that's a really good problem to have. So, we'll hopefully she can keep going and she shows up really late for her own, result. Yeah. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, when she does arrive. And like I said, we just got to see who's doing what during the week, how everyone feels, matchups, and, you call it and you back it.
How
Brilliant.
exciting.
Oh,
Fingers
it is-
crossed.
It is an exciting time for Australian tennis, global tennis. Well, stay tuned. There's probably still a couple of tickets left. I don't know. Maybe. Give it a Google.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We want to see you there. Come support us.
You in particular. You. I'm staring at the camera for those who are not watching on YouTube.
And if you can't get to Brisbane, you can watch it.
You can watch Todd.
You can watch it on
Watch Todd. You can hear Todd while you watch it. Yeah. The voice of Tipping
you can
Point.
watch it on 9Jam.
Yeah, you can.
All right. Well, BJK to the top 5. Brie, I see you've got another top 5 now. I've got some buttons here. Start with the purple one, I believe. Do you want me
Yeah.
to kick us off?
So
Hang
we're
on.
just...
Oh, no, you get
No,
intro
I've got
first.
to intro.
Sorry, I get excited when there's buttons and cake.
Have you had your meds today?
Too many or not enough? We'll find
I
out.
don't know.
We'll do some urinalysis after.
Oh, your analysis.
So we've hit clay court season. So I thought we'd do some top 5 facts about clay courts.
Love it.
Last year I didn't do clay courts. I did Wimbledon. I did grass courts. Top
Okay.
5. Yeah. So I just thought
All right.
these are taken from Roland Garros. So I'm sure every court is quite different, but I thought I'd go with the main court everyone knows.
Well, they know clay too, so
yeah.
Good.
But
All right.
I would assume everyone's different.
let's do it.
5,
Cool. So this is about the physicality of the court. So they say that it might be more physically demanding, but clay apparently is the least harsh of surfaces because it protects the joints and limits the risk of injury, making it an ideal surface for any player. Now, I wanted to actually hear what you guys think of that.
Ever had a clay injury? Talk me through it.
Well, I think on the joints, for sure,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier.
With a
It
bit
is
more
nicer.
spring or
Yeah,
something.
and it's just softer and you can
Yeah.
slide. You're not like getting that quick stop and
jar?
impact, the jar.
Yeah.
Having said that, if you slip, you can. I pulled a bit of a hip flexor thing by slipping
yeah.
1 year, but I just love clay, so I would play on it any day of the week.
Good. All right. 4. Well, hang on. 5. You want something to add, Todd?
No,
Okay.
move on. I'll let the true clay quarter give that.
At Roland Garros, it has 8 people are needed to prepare the court, and 100 people are responsible for maintaining the court.
Wow.
And that's what makes it an expensive surface.
Yeah, okay.
So, and that's why, it's tougher to have clay clubs like in Australia because of the cost of, in Europe, it's a different scenario with the clubs. They're very social and community based.
Oh, so they probably do a lot of the
in
work.
small villages, and there's
Yeah.
people that can jump in so that I didn't know it was that many though.
Yeah.
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 So I guess if you have a clay court, you'd have to keep on it. You can't just let it go
Oh,
for
Oh, no.
Right.
You had a bit of
It's
a
like a living
wind.
thing.
You got to get back out, put the top dressing back on again.
Off to
and-
Bunnings, get some more red
Yeah.
dust.
No. Yep.
Dust.
Whatever
Crunch,
it is.
crush a few more bricks.
Crushed brick. There we go.
So, in terms of maintenance for Roland Garros, in the morning the courts are uncovered and swept. During the matches, between every set, courts are swept, lines are brushed. After the matches, sweep, brush, water. Evening, intense watering. Every day, repeat. If it rains,
Gosh.
repeat.
Sounds like my morning routine, but
Isn't
worse.
that crazy? It's a lot, isn't it?
And they throw, is
they
it
floss?
salt? There's
Oh.
these
Yes.
other,
salt.
There's
salt
multiple
stuff.
layers.
Yeah.
I went to put it in, but I thought that would take too long to explain the different volumes
Well, I only
of layers.
say it because if you practice early, then you can still see it all over the court.
No, Brie's gone down into the actual.
No, the actual
fines and how
fine,
they
like
make
of
it.
how they
She
layer
doesn't
it.
understand the salt. So the salt.
She's pretty salty. I mean, watch your back, Teddy.
No, the salt is in the mornings, right? So if you go back years ago, they didn't have covers on the courts overnight. So if you had overnight showers, you come in and it would be quite muddy and it could be very, very heavy. And so Roland Garros played very differently to how it does today.
Yeah.
Totally weather dependent. Now you come in, they water the courts,
Yep.
put the covers on,
Yep.
come back the next morning and they take them off and they know how close they're going to be. But at the back of the courts, where they are uncovered and there might be rain, they throw in big chunks of hard salt
Oh, really?
to soak up the water to dry it quicker. And that's what Sam
well,
was
that's what
talking
you
about.
meant.
You don't want to
How
put it on your
interesting.
salad. That's
No, so this is
not-
like proper rock
So it's not
salt.
Himalayan
chunky
Like a big
bricks.
horse lick type thing down the back.
It's all crunched. Yeah.
Not be serious.
Yeah, we are.
Right. What are we up to?
2. So 1.1 in tons,
Tons.
TONS, so tons,
Wow.
of red clay used to build a court. And this figure increases to 1.5, and I'm not going to be able to say it, Philippe Chatrier court, which is obviously bigger.
Oh, their centre court. Wow. Was that because of extra use or?
Because it's just bigger.
Oh, because it's got more
It's just
size.
bigger.
It's massive, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 1.1 tonne for the whole Roland Garros. That's a lot of clay. Wow.
Used to build a court.
Single court. That's
per
amazing.
court, 1.5.
No wonder we use Plex cushion or whatever you have here. Hard court, much easier. Just vacuum it off, get the
Remember
Dyson
I
out.
thought it was just painted blue something or other? Remember when I was...
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll do a
Bit of cement.
yeah. Put a slab down.
Dave was like, no.
Even I know that there's like a lot going on there. That's the wrong button now.
Okay, number 1. So this is a fact everyone will probably know, but our very own birthday panelist won at Roland Garros.
Which one?
Both of you, right?
Doubles counts.
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good. I was
Yeah.
just making sure, like your face, I was like, hang on, is Wikipedia wrong?
No, it's right.
Not a bit. Who do you think wrote the Wikipedia page for Todd Woodbridge? Todd Woodbridge.
Todd in doubles in the year 2000, Y2K, and Sam in doubles in 2006, and the singles final in 2010.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
No, that's Sam.
Yeah.
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 That's right. Double still
But
counts,
you
Todd.
tried to say earlier you were really bad at clay,
Well,
which you
Yeah, but if
always say.
there's
And
others
then
who
when I
are
was
worse.
like, but you won.
No, it was. I actually liked playing on clay. The problem was the clay court season's sort of about 10, 11 weeks long in a way, and on week 11, I finally used to get it. And I was there and I was playing and I had all the shape was in the right space and then
boom, grass.
yeah. And that was the hardest part. Like the first 4 weeks was actually adapting a fast court, flat hitting game to clay.
Yeah.
And you just
That's how I felt on grass.
Yeah.
I'd get to
And you only had 3
the
weeks on
second-
grass.
A few weeks, and you'd get to the end of Wimbledon where it turns to dirt because there's no grass left. And I'm like, now I like this now.
But this feels familiar.
But you know what? That's the one thing where I think the game has changed enormously now is that we're talking right now this week about transitioning from the hard court season onto clay. And when that used to happen, you used to have players fall off in terms of form. If you were a hard court player, you had to play well because you knew you were not going to make any
have a
points
dry spell.
on that
Yeah.
next season, that next sort of set, because until you got to the grass and then you had to go hard again. Now, we watch players like Mensik, it wins in Miami. He slides across the baseline. He's just going to transition from sliding on the hard court onto the clay.
It'll just be easier on his knees.
The young kids today play a game style that adapts to all surfaces. And they're so big, so strong, so athletic. They hit winners off both wings. They've got plenty of spin and shape on the ball. They can flatten the ball. They all serve huge. So transitioning from surface to surface is not as big an issue as it used to be. And I think that's something we can even look at to change what we see in tennis. Instead of having Groundhog Day events, that's where court speed and balls and all those things become a little different, where you can have different challenges, in terms of players challenging to go forward and win events, because it's much easier now. We don't see so many players really, Pete Sampras, who was the ultimate Grand Slam champion, was all at sea when he was on clay at Roland Garros. He never won it. And you don't see one of our up-and-comers and think of them like that anymore.
One question for you, Sam. As a finalist at Roland Garros, is that your favourite slam?
It was to play at. Yeah. As far as tennis goes on the court.
Because obviously
everything
clay
about-
was your surface, right?
Yeah, I
One of your
I loved it.
faves.
You did all right in New York.
It sounds silly saying that, having won in New York,
Yeah.
but I think I've won more Grand Slam matches at Roland Garros than anywhere else. And I think I had semis 3 times, a final.
It gave you the belief, really, that place, didn't it?
Exactly. So I had that final. I had semis in 2009, final in 2010. Then I won in 2011 at the US Open. But I'd had that on the clay, and I just loved
Love it.
playing on those courts.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things we love, Ace of the Week, something that doesn't have to be tennis related, prefer if it's not, that's giving you a little bit of joy this week. Todd, you've got a big grin.
I'm going to go back to Aryna Sabalenka because when my mum was still alive and we'd go down to the bowling club and, mum would have a little beer or two and
A little shandy.
someone would come in and she goes, "Don't you know who he is? He's one of the Woodies." And I'm like, "Oh, Mum, for
Mark,
God's
how
sake."
are you?
And
love
Aryna
that.
Sabalenka had this issue this week where she's gone out to dinner after
I
winning
did see
Miami, and this absolute, what would we call him, unfortunate human, comes along and says, "This is my table. I want that table." And one of Aryna's team goes, "Don't you know who she is? She's #1 woman in the world." And I had to laugh at that because it made me think of my mum. But it was also such a classic moment. Here they are celebrating their dinner. They've still got all their food on the table, and this guy's coming and saying, "This is my table." And the righteousness of him was incredible. And she came out of it looking fantastic. Yeah. And I think he'll be highly embarrassed for a long time because he's gone absolutely viral, and he deserves to be slapped down for what he did and how he behaved. Well done, Aryna.
All right, I'll definitely be looking up that one afterwards.
Have you
me
not
too.
seen it? So
No, I haven't
good.
seen it
Oh,
either.
this
Very
is good.
good.
We'll add it to the show notes of the episode. Andy, can you make sure that happens? Great. Good man. Sam, what's your Ace of the Week?
Well, it was my birthday on Sunday.
Yes, it was.
So,
Da-da-da-da.
what happened? Saturday night, went out to the comedy festival
Oh,
in
fun.
Melbourne.
Who'd you see?
best of the Brits and another guy in a little tiny bar. I did feel a bit bad. There's only like 20 seats in there and there was only about 12 taken.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it
but
was
one of them
very
was Sam
intimate.
Stosur,
Well,
so-
I did feel like he was making eye contact only with me,
you
but I
go-
think it was only because there was
No one else to look at?
to look at.
That was where someone said, "Do you know who she is?"
But it was very, very fun. I love going to the comedy. That was great. And then went 10-pin bowling the next day
fun.
at some new funky place. So, and out for Mexican. So I had a bit of a birthday weekend. It was
That's
great.
a good outing. Well done. Well, happy birthday once again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Brie, what's your rest of the week?
Mine's a double up. I went to Comedy Festival on Monday night.
Great.
I went to a preview that showed about 12 different. I got invited because they were mostly TikTok
good.
comedians.
Oh.
And they each did about 3 minutes each, which is more than what
That's-
you would normally do on TikTok, which
Yeah,
is
it's long
really
for them.
good for them. But they're all in the Comedy Fest.
And were they
this
funny?
year. They were
Great question.
amazing.
Oh,
They were
good.
very funny because comedy's kind of changing like lots of things, right? A lot of comedians are coming up through social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was
I thought you were going to say
so
comedy was changing. It's no longer funny.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing kind of an edgy dark.
No, how they're being noticed and found,
Yeah,
which I think
right.
is good for comedians, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a hard
It's a
slog.
yeah, that's a tough
so
platform.
hard to make it through. And it was so funny. And midway through, I was busting to go to the toilet.
Yeah, good to
and
know.
I was like, I am not moving. There is no chance in hell I am moving. Because comedians love it when someone gets up to go to the toilet.
True, you become
a
their
couple
target.
got smashed when
I
one
just
of
sat
the
there
ones I was
like
watching.
holding on. As soon as it ended, I've never got out of a theatre faster to go to the toilet.
Did you make it?
I just made it.
That's awesome. Very happy for you on that
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah. Okay, my ice of the week. Now, some of you might know I live in a part of Victoria here in Australia, Mount Macedon. It is, world renowned for its trees, and we've just entered autumn.
Yes.
So all of the trees are changing. It
Falling.
looks like New England in Northeast America.
Yeah, Vermont.
Yeah, exactly. It looks stunning. Of course, with that comes a lot of tourists and leaf peepers, people who come just to take photos. But traffic hazards aside, it's just a beautiful time of year.
Lovely. And
yeah,
that's why both of you have come in your
Exactly.
autumnal
Yeah.
jackets today.
I was going to bring my little
It's
flat
getting
cap.
colder now in Melbourne.
Well, yeah, I have to come down from my red leaves and talk to you lovely people about tennis.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How lucky for you.
I've
Yeah,
come
it's all
all
right.
the way from South Yarra.
Cross the river here
Cross
to
the
Melbourne
river.
Park. Well, I'm glad you made it.
My 24-minute walk.
Yeah, you did it well.
Thank you.
New PB?
Yeah, it is actually.
That's pretty
I
good.
got here
Well,
pretty quick.
thank you all once again for joining us on the tennis.
Been great.
Thank you.
Looking
wait to have
forward
you
to looking forward to the red clay. getting
Yes.
underway. The chess of tennis.
So good.
Sure. Okay, join us again next week. The ATP Tour heads to Monte Carlo, and our Aussie women will be back on home soil, fighting for a place in the Billie Jean King Cup finals. In the meantime, don't forget you can watch this episode and every episode of the Tennis on the Australian Open YouTube channel. And while you're there, give it a subscribe, hit the bell, never miss an episode of this or any of our other content. Thanks, team. Have a great week in tennis.
Yep.
Good
Thank
luck,
you. Be
sure to
BJK
make your
Cup
first serve.
team.
Thank you.